All right, I'd like to welcome you guys back to another episode of Dream Chases Insanity. Thank you for joining me, Dropout Professor, for another episode of this. I'm begging you guys, because I'm going to start doing the promos the first 15, 30 seconds of these videos. I'm begging you guys to contribute to the channel to get me out of these public environments because I hate being perceived and I hate having to share public airspace with people. I hate having to talk over people. I hate having to listen to other people talking when I'm trying to converse my ideas. And I know I should be a lot more thankful for the opportunity that I have to even record all these episodes, but I need to be genuinely honest with you. The money pays the bills protect the privacy, and the privacy allows not only these episodes, but even more quality content for you guys. So if you'd like to support the channel, after that rant, begging for money, go ahead and check out our Patreon channel, which you can donate monthly and continue to help support, boost regular content along the way, and you can get early access and more perks on that site. Or if you'd like to wear some of the merch that we have on our brand, you can go check out Cosmic Nomads Rebel Souls.shop. And I'm going to put up the website right here so you can go check it out, scroll through some of those cool drops we got going. And make sure when you're on the website, don't forget to sign up for the email SMS subscription, which will give you 10% off on your first order. And you'll have a bunch of brand alerts as we continue to make drops in the future. Just a little appreciation for the people who continue to contribute and support the channel every day, especially those of you guys who are here really, really early. All right, check out the board. Let me see what you guys think about that. I made a TikTok video about this exact topic. And now I think it's time to be a YouTube video because I'm starting to see, or I'm starting to recognize, my audience is a lot more non-traditional life path, creative, entrepreneurial, disabled, neurodivergent people who are all collectively learning, if at very different rates, to live a life in alignment to our non-traditional identities, instead of trying to continue to mold and fix ourselves into a society that never had any intention of appreciating us for who we really are anyway. So whether this is you for your creative artist brand, whether this is you for your business, whether this is you for just developing a sense of self-confidence in your own identity and your own fundamental self-concept, I think the most important part of this video is going to be that you have to be willing to be seen. You have to be ready to be seen. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, and you have to let the world be able to appreciate you before you can even get any of this appreciation and validation, which I'm assuming you're doing some of this work for at the end of the day. Let me stop myself. I made a video a couple months ago, I want to say February or March, that was saying, get out of your own way in 2024. Go ahead and check that out if you want to. I'm sure the audio is horrible. But I want to reiterate what I'm saying there. Allow the world to stop you. There's an amazing quote that a lot of football coaches and some baseball coaches were saying, and it's just kind of running through my mind right now. I'd rather have a player that I have to tell no, 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 because they're going too hard and they're too passionate about the play, rather than a player I have to constantly whip from behind and say, go, 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 because I can't motivate them to find the strength within them to get the job done. This is the kind of perspective we creative artists have to start having about our journey. We have to let the world tell us, hey, slow down, bucko. You're creating so much. Maybe you need to start specializing. Maybe you need to start sharing differently. Maybe you need to start pivoting and adapting. But we have to let the world slow us down into a more refined state of who we are. We can't attempt to be the perfect version of ourselves and then present that to a world, especially a world full of people who don't appreciate the creative journey in its authenticity. They've just been sold these capitalist illusions of, look what this dude created. Look what this dude created. You can't do it, but you can buy it. And the consumer has not been allowed to develop a sense of patience and appreciation for what the artist has to go through to be able to create genuine, valuable, authentic, even art. That's what we're going to be discussing today. Whether this is an episode that helps you just as a person learning how to develop a deeper sense of self-acceptance so you can share that with the world, or again, if it's for a creative artist, a brand owner, an entrepreneur that is looking to put your best foot forward with what you are afraid of, which will address a couple of reasons why you might not be putting your stuff out there, but why you might be afraid of taking that leap, taking that risk, and just letting life tell you, hey, no, 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 we're going to close this door in front of you so you can go pursue this one, or we're going to stop you here so you can focus more intently on what you have already in your hands, rather than life constantly throwing you suffering, throwing you obstacle, throwing you tower moment, and you never getting that it's not to punish you, it's to put you in a position to start looking differently and to start making different decisions so you don't have to continue to be put in cycles, repeating cycles of these predicaments. Because at the end of the day, if you keep on falling in the same cycles, the common denominator isn't the cycle or the struggle or the level of suffering. It is you, the person experiencing it, the person who's not making the choices or taking responsibility for the actions that would change your circumstance. That's what we're going to get into today. Please, 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 please. If this is a video you think is going to help a friend of yours or help yourself, like, comment, subscribe, share, give me your money. If you think I'm cute, you want to have sex, Instagram. All right. We'll get better with that. We'll get better. All right. Now we're going to get into phase one of this video. Why do you live behind the mask, Batman? I love, whenever I'm titling something, I love making sure that I pull an analogy from the real world or even the fake fantasy world, and I bring it into here to remind you that we are just living in this reality that is all scale models of very similar or like very simple lessons and understandings. And if we allow ourselves to be a student of those understandings, a student of the reality and what it's trying to show us, then we give ourselves the best opportunity to see where we might be conflicting. Forgive me, I'm using the wrong word here. I just had to throw something in there. But we give ourselves an opportunity to see where we might be obstructing our own ability to actualize what we want on the inside, but we, the being who is on the outside of that, covering that desire, is stopping us from letting that happen in our real world. It could be our habits, it could be our environment, it could be our self-concept, it could be how we believe or even see ourselves. But if we don't take the time to stop and to see ourselves for who we are apart from all the influences of the world, we'll never give ourselves the power or even the ability to take responsibility for this. So I don't know if you take notes while you watch these videos. If you do, I love you. If you do, you know I love you, right? Only real ones be taking notes when I make videos, because these are long as hell, bro. You should be taking notes. And if anybody be taking notes, I'm not going to make any promises because I'm going to forget that I made this by the time I post this video. But real talk. I'm going to go through a couple of examples as to why you could be attempting to portray yourself as this mysterious person or this, oh, you're too cool to do all the stuff that a growing or aspiring creative artist naturally does to create the path to, or at least take the path towards actualizing their dreams. And mind you, if we can control what we can control, which usually is most of the issue, then we allow, it's literally, we're playing back and forth with the universe. We control what we can control in our present moment. That changes our circumstances, which gives us, puts us in a new position to make new choices, to then create new routines to either maintain that current reality or make new choices to create a new reality to take responsibility for, to then maintain that one. Because we're not constantly improving. We're finding our flow, we're finding our rhythm, and then we're creating a reality that best allows us to access that rhythm and to cultivate the flow, the energy, the love that comes from that, and turn that into art, turn that into value, turn that into material, and share that with the world around us. And if all of us knew we all have the ability to go within and access a gold mine only of access to us based on our ability to tap into our own awareness, We wouldn't be so hell-bent like this on other people and other people's business and who other people are having sex with and who other people are spending their money on and what other people are doing on vacation. Because it'd be a lot easier to be like this on our own situation and open the doors up for the people who not only support our situation, but for the world we're able to appreciate by being able to take care of our own business. I cut myself off like maybe 2.5 minutes ago when I was trying to say, but you're going to put this in your journal for me. And if you're not going to do it for me, you're going to do it for you. And if you're not going to do it for you now, you're going to do it for the version of you 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, maybe even a year from now, maybe a week from now, that has decided you're going to stop running from yourself and you're going to start one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 year at a time, addressing aspects of yourself that you refuse to accept or you are, forgive me, I'm speaking too much, that you are rejecting as a means of maintaining the comfort of existing in your convenient present reality. Rather than knowing we were born here to live a life and to grow and to let go and to gain and to constantly be on that process of learning and growing into truly who we are. This is something I had to address personally because I was questioning myself as to like, how come nobody's buying my clothes from my clothing brand? Or how come nobody's like I'm not going viral on social media and this and that? And I thought, and I've always known I've had great content and I've had great designs and everything that I needed to. But the problem wasn't that I couldn't do it, or the problem wasn't necessarily that I wasn't the person who's cut out to do any of these things. The problem is that I thought so highly of myself in my head that I had to protect how I thought of myself in my head by not allowing my dreams, my ideas, my gifts to be put out into the real world, because that automatically put them at the risk of other people's opinions and judgment, which would force me to change my perception of these things that I care about, whether I love them or not. And side note, get into a little bit of childhood trauma here. There's so many things that I genuinely cared for and loved as a child. And when my parents saw that I had access to those things, they knew that we had no relationship. And they knew the only relationship we would have is by triangulating things that I loved and holding them over my head to get me to like be respectful to or like obedient to them so I could have access to these things. So I developed a sense of not putting my whole heart and soul into things or truly being present with what I loved and cared about and all the passion that I have, giving it to, because I was so afraid of how I would react constantly and how dysregulated I would be when I would have that thing either rejecting me, taken away from me, or the thing just leaves and just becomes absent in my life and I have no ability to like conceptualize why. And I was protecting not only other people, but I was protecting myself. And I'm not a bad person or nothing, but I'm just saying like I was protecting myself genuinely from having to go through and constantly like defend myself, constantly stand on my own beliefs, constantly. And instead of taking that as like, oh my goodness, like I have a lot of healing to do. And in my healing, I can not only grow as a person, but continue to grow as an artist, a more authentic artist. I had to realize that I was wearing this mask of, oh, well, I create such high value stuff that if people really want it, like I just have to make one thing and then like it'll blow up. So I'll just put this one thing out there and like it should blow up because it's like I think it should in my head, and like I haven't done no trials, no testing, no education, no nothing. Just like I'm just gonna throw it out there, and and what I'm trying to get by saying all of this, to not make the point too long, is in my head, what I was truly believing, well, in my soul, like my heart, what I genuinely knew was that I was afraid of failure. I was afraid of losing. I was afraid of having the things that I cared about and I wanted to be and have in this life taken away from me by the outside world and not being able to do anything about it. And I'm protecting that by saying, I'm too cool to post content every day. Because that is protecting I'm too afraid to be humiliated by people. I'm too afraid to be shamed by people who aren't posting anything. I'm too afraid to be laughed at and made fun of. That's me saying, oh, that's too corny. I'm not going to do that posting content every day. I'm not going to do that responding to comments. I'm not going to do that engaging with my community. I'm not going to do that consistently posting. Because if people like me, they should just be here and they should just love everything that I make and they should just be sucking my toes because I'm so cool. That was me protecting my own inner child from being on the other side of the shame that I was pointing at other people. And all of it is rooted in, if not narcissism, I don't believe I'm a narcissist, but I believe definitely have learned narcissistic behaviors in relation to the self as a means of my upbringing. And it's the craziest part about narcissism and narcissistic abuse is that it's such an emotionally enslaving disease almost, or illness, that the entirety of the battle could be happening just within your own heart, soul, and mind, and it's all inside of you. And nobody would be able to see the effects or consequences happening outside of you until this inner broken machine starts to go haywire. And then now they're at the mercy of the pain that you've refused to address and resolve. And I truly believe you can't be like the fullness of the creative artist that you believe you want to be if you don't address the spiritual, self-healing, inward journey aspects of this path, of this lifestyle. Because that is literally the juice that is your authentic art. I don't think a lot of people realize that they're sitting here begging, waiting for inspiration, but they don't look within their own experiences. They don't look within themselves to see what they care about, what they believe in, what makes them sad, what makes them angry, what makes them sick, what makes them joyful. It's almost like everything about their life is just a reflection of what they are supposed to be or supposed to do in order to gain the validation of the person that they want to see themselves as, because they won't validate that version of themselves for themselves, because we're living in a world that's rooted in self-rejection unless you look like the leading class of people and you have a lot of money to your name, and hopefully a accredited network or family last name as well. It's funny how that always happens to be the same demographic of people, but we just don't want to address that shit. Let me make sure this is still recording, because I didn't think we were going to go 20 minutes into talking about narcissism, but that's the main one. That if you can address this one right here, like, hey, I may be playing a significant role in my inability to see growth or to see progress in my journey, at least I can remove the shackles that I put on myself. And at least that gives me the best opportunity to free myself from the shackles, or at least the illusions of shackles that now society has placed onto me. That is going to be essential to free myself from. Why? Because I need to be free and fluid to be able to truly receive the energy that is from the ether or the universe or God, whatever you believe in, for this creative journey, and to be able to express it outside of me authentically without having that fourth wall or that extra eye looking above me constricting my ability to self-accept and self-actualize. Because then, again, I'm going to keep saying this. If you're not creating the art from a place of self-acceptance, you are actualizing your art with a means of hoping the validation you get for the art you've produced will be the thing that helps you complete your inability to self-accept yourself. A couple of these other ones, it's not a means of like, oh, reject fear, avoid rejection. It's a matter of, can I develop a better relationship with these negative emotions? And are these dead ends stopping me from pursuing these paths for a reason? Or is this an opportunity to learn myself from a different perspective, to learn about who I am and what I bring to the table from a different light? And in addressing that, I can not only help myself get to where I'm trying to go, but also help others who desire to get to these places in their own lives. and build a community of people who support each other in actualizing their dreams in alignment to a life like this. And do you see how all you got to do is throw the first card down and then the whole entire game starts to fold in your favor? But they convince you to overthink so much. What card are you throwing down? Well, what type is that? Well, what this is that? Well, it's not the right time. Well, your hands are sweaty. Oh, your poker face is weird. And the person who wins always just ends up being the person who is going to make the decision they were going to make anyway, and then pivot based on the results of the decisions that they made in real time, while hoping that the preparation that they made for the present moment was enough to recoup on any mistakes that they make through the process. You have to look at your whole entire life, not another side note, but really just a little bit of a concluding sector of this. Look at your life as a whole journey, every experience, every relationship, not that they have to stay, but as a giant machine that is you. And you are on the inside of that machine, living the whole entire life cycle of the machine, learning as much as you can, growing as much as you can, becoming as much as you can, healing and growing and accepting as much as you can, allowing yourself to become of utmost awareness of who this character is that you're playing, that is your social identity. Because you got to remember, the social game is something that we all made up collectively to feel a little less lonely about being the only intelligent species on planet Earth. Let's get into the last couple ones of these here, so we can get into the real juice as to why being mysterious is absolutely going to destroy your creative career in the future. You might be wearing the mask because you're afraid, bro. Like, simply, and the only way I'm going to help you address fear, because fear is a very individualized thing. Like, we are the ones who almost create the stories of our own fear. Our experiences definitely develop and validate those fears that we have. But remember, we are the ones who continue to tell us the story as to what we're afraid of and what we refuse to confront. So whether it's fear of rejection, it's fear of change, it's fear of losing something, the fears that I had that I was explaining a little bit earlier in this. If you have a poor relationship with fear, you will be stuck on square one, wondering why, staring at square 99, wondering why everybody else is getting there and you're not getting there with the same exact opportunity. But because you aren't willing to look into a mirror, you will never get to where they'll get. And then you're going to start creating reasons as to why they have this and you don't. Creating reasons why they're there and you're here. Creating reasons why they have what you want and you don't have anything that you want. And the universe hates you and this negativity, all of this. But you're still on square one and you haven't changed any of the decisions you've made and you haven't changed any of your beliefs about your situation or yourself. Oh my goodness. It's the entrepreneurial journey, the non-traditional journey, the neurodivergent journey. And I said this in the video probably prior to this one that I just made right now. But if you look at yourself as a different person and you automatically go, I'm different, let me reject myself first, and then I'm going to fix myself so I can gain the validation from society to accept myself, you will be running a hamster wheel forever and be exploited and manipulated by anybody who has any kind of higher awareness, probably a narcissist, to see that your completion, your self-completion comes on the other end of being completed by somebody else, not by your own validation and your own will. And you're at the mercy of he who or she who provides you completion. Whether that's validation, whether that's money, whether that's sex, whether that's affection. And look at the position you put yourself in. Now your whole entire growth journey and becoming journey and story is completely dependent on this other person's ability to validate you. And this is why I made that video a week or two ago, probably before this date. No validation necessary. You better go watch that video right now. It's the journey is internal. The journey begins internally. And for most of us, if we're not traumatized so hard into this internal space and then put in a position to say, oh, okay, well, now I'm going to work with this intangible, work with this inner energy that I uniquely have access to, and I'm going to start building a path with my being, this instrument called a human being, and I'm going to build that path in my real world and live a life in alignment. I love using that word authenticity, I apologize, but in alignment with these dreams that I keep having, because I keep having them for a reason. I'm truly excited to see like how the people that so many of you guys become, because I don't think you even realize the world we live in today. The reason why these people were able to prolong slavery as long as they were and into today is because they've just moved the chains and the shackles from your wrist and your ankles to your brain and your heart and your soul. And they influence you to be the person that enslaves yourself because of some connection to some association or some identity or some validation. And now you are putting yourself, you are your own slave master. You are your own abuser. You are your own master. Influenced by the society around us. If you don't take responsibility for what goes on inside of you, I promise somebody who does know what goes on inside of you or has the intellect to see it is going to take advantage of you and use what you have inside of you to serve them. Whether that's physically, whether that's mentally, whether that's spiritually, whether that's emotionally. And you will be you then not being able to actualize yourself, become a tool of somebody else's journey rather than knowing that you are the artist and the tools are the world around you. The audience, the community, the collaborators are the people around you, and you work with the people, you use the tools, you appreciate the tools, and you appreciate this experience, and you allow your whole life to be a creative process instead of you attempting to wait to be validated as a creative artist, as an actor, as a designer, as a this, because you are an artist fundamentally, and you're on a journey discovering all the ways that you can use your human instrument to create art. That is what an artist is. Maybe I just had to make this whole video to reverse engineer that thought, but think about it. A creative artist is just a human who knows how to use their body as a tool to actualize or alchemize energy into human form. That's an artist. That's a creator. And who can do that physically? Women. Women can turn bacteria into a human being. That's magical. Now imagine if we as a society revered that so much that we allowed all types of people to give birth to impregnate their minds, their souls with ideas, and to give birth to in this life visions, dreams, opportunities, cultures even. Free yourself from patriarchy, we might get there. You think it's time to discuss the future of the industry? Or how about this? Next phase, we're going to explain how the industry is basically splitting up into two different directions, the old school way and the new school way. And in this new school model, it's essential that you participate in your own journey as much as you possibly can, because that wasn't, forgive me, I keep on burping. I got to stop drinking those kombuchas. This little method of like waiting your turn and never releasing music and not being allowed to do anything outside of the industry schedule, like that's done, bro. You have an opportunity that artists have not had the opportunity forever, especially in this record label era, capitalist industry exploitation model. So I don't know how long this current state of the industry is going to last, because it's doing a number to the old industry. And we know the players of the game want this old school to last. They don't care about the new school. They definitely don't care about digital. And them not caring about digital is what is how Napster and Spotify and all them came around. So Now they're not caring about AI, or they're attempting to care about AI because they don't want the Napster thing to happen again. But let's just get into it, huh? All right. All right. This is, you can read that. Put your glasses on, read that. You're not Playboy Cardi or Rihanna. You have to be seen as much as possible on the way up. UPS, now I'm playing. This part I'm going to explain the old school industry model that hopefully implodes before it utilizes AI to make itself permanent. I think that's what I'm trying to use. And the new school model, which has been inspired by the internet and by widespread technology and just consumer technology, smartphones, laptops, computers, and has allowed people to not only directly create the art, but consume the art and not have that medium of a huge mass media industry to like disrupt them from accessing that. Because it never should have been there in the first place, but it's trying to validate itself as like a necessary aspect of the industry. So we can't see that it's just a literal like syringe siphoning out all the wealth and value that is created within the industry. And then once it leaves the industry bone dry, it blames the artist for not creating good enough art. So let's get into this. Old school method, I call it the C2B2C method, which is, there's probably a more business savvy term to use, but I genuinely don't care because most of American business is like trash anyway. It's the creative to business to consumer method. I've been doing a lot of research on not only just record labels, but I even, about a night or two ago, I was listening to this business podcast. I'm not sure what it's called, but if I remember it, I'll honestly just throw a picture of it right here. And it was speaking about how the changes are so crazy in the record industry right now, or at least alluding to those, because the industry was owned exclusively by record labels for such a dominant amount of time. And they were using all of the people who were entering the industry to line their pockets up. And then by having so much more wealth and value than other people, there's honestly no competitors that can come around in the industry. And at that time, you can sell the best image or you can sell the best illusions because you have access to the best technology. You have access to the leading stars and celebrities. You have access to social influence and power, damn near political power at that point. So who's competing against you? And then the internet age comes in and tells us, oh my goodness, just like water, everybody should have access to information. Everybody should have access to tools that can make it easier to be an artist. The same stuff that the traditional industry was gatekeeping and hoarding to make sure that nobody was getting affordable studio sessions, to make sure that nobody was getting access to tools and resources, to make sure that we were, politically speaking, defunding creative arts in public education. So the people who make the real art and culture don't have access to the information, the education, or the support system that would allow them to even do that at a fundamental stage in their lives. This is why so many of the people that would probably be leading the arts industry right now are working retail jobs or fast food restaurants. Never got the support at an age where they could have at least had in their brain, I am a creative artist, and at some point I'll just need to pivot myself into that lifestyle. No. They genuinely believe now that they are this service worker and they are going to live on the other side of this. This is what I hate about this old school model. They find all the talent. And this is the John D. Rockefeller method. And this is the method I'm going to start using with my businesses when I start getting my big 7, 8, 9-figure businesses up running. Just the vertical industry monopoly. Like, you don't need to run the best of one kind of business and like beat out all the competitors. Just be the industry yourself. Manufacturing, distribution, marketing, sales, product development, creative campaigns. Do the whole thing yourself in-house, or at least make it look like it's not in-house. and make everything underneath your umbrella. So who's competing against not just your business, they're competing against your entire ecosystem. And if your ecosystem can produce value that can attract people to invest, especially people who are working 9 to 5s to invest, you won. You won. The talent, more times than not, markets itself. You don't need creative people to market creative people. You need business people to market creative people, because the creative people probably don't know a damn thing about business. So these industry monopolies, or the industry monopoly, because I'm assuming this is just one major one, they find all the talent because nobody has access to doing stuff. There's no GarageBand available. There's no TikTok. There's no SoundCloud at this point. There are people who have talent and that hope that one day they're seen by God. I mean, the capitalists at the top of the industry who will give them salvation. I mean, a record deal which will save their lives and allow them to finally validate themselves as the creative artists that they refuse to see themselves as. The industry finds this talent, exploits, manipulates, gaslights everybody. Develop in the machine that we have created. Nobody else is going to do this. And really, the only people who have ability to waste exorbitant amounts of money on creative arts are wealthy people. And wealthy people, more times than not, are not actually creative. They're just bored and need something to do that is not constantly reinforcing how much money they have in relation to everybody else around them. Or to make them feel like them being dumb around everybody around them is actually them just being quirky and different. No, man. You're not creative, you're not smart, you're not anything. You're just wealthy and you need something to do. Probably a service job. So while it does sound amazing that, okay, we gave you record deal, we gave you this deal, we gave you loan, now you're in the house and now you're going to learn from your constituents, you're going to learn from your peers, you're going to be ingrained and kind of developed in this culture. It may sound amazing. And it's also probably going to come with a huge front-end advance. But remember, there's a catch-22 to this front-end advance. You're not getting this much money, especially an advance that you have never seen in your entire life before, out of the goodness of somebody's heart. If you've never seen $10,000 at one time in your life before, and somebody gives you a loan for $1 million, you could be having $10,000 of interest every month on that loan. Of course, I'm not getting too crazy into rates here, but you see how crazy that is? Somebody who's never seen, and this is why the industry was able to just manipulate our black people so much. Because they've broken our communities down socially, politically, so much so, we had never seen $1,000 in a day unless we got it in a sleazy way. We had never seen this much money before. And now it was money we had never seen times 1,000,000. Money we'd never seen times money we'd never have. And that's being given to us, really just dangled in front of our faces. Hey, give us that thing that you have access to that we can't just actually rip out of you like Ursula from The Little Mermaid, and then we'll give you a bad deal on the back end. How's that? Actually, this is like Ursula. This is exactly like The Little Mermaid. Mind you, I didn't even mean to do that. I just let me finish this part first. So when you're developing them in the machine, you're telling me that like that money that they've never seen before, that they don't know how to build, they don't even know how to make $1 million, much less make $10,000 legally. How are they going to, out of nowhere, okay, well, my career is now failing and I'm $800,000 in the hole. Let me just do some quirky thing on TikTok, some cool. Yeah, that's going to get me out of 800,000 in the hole. Maybe let me just make a couple of songs, an EP like Ice Spice. Bro, the industry's not treating anybody right. You see, Ice Spice is a full industry plant pushed by I don't know what billionaire class. And she's not even getting no hits and no sales, bro. Like this whole old model is it's trying to what I'm starting to believe is it's trying to reinforce, especially with this resurgence of industry plants. It's trying to tell us, hey, these people look like you, but they are nothing like you because they are so heavily supported socially, economically, politically, in so many different ways. You will never be anywhere they go. Even if your music is perfect in your genre or perfect to be heard by the world and needs to be heard by the world, you'll never be them because these people, they own the industry, one, and then now they run the machines who lead the industry that they're saying is a fair play game, but it's not because it's a hidden monopoly. How do you hide it? You monopolize the industry, do the little vertical freaking industry monopoly shit, say, hey, you know what? We're just going to in-house everything and call this umbrella, exploit all the profits and give it to the people who organized the opportunities, which is really just the people who are executives and probably inherited roles, slave master type shit. And then exchange, if you could read that, good for you. Exchange consumer culture with the people that you just stole all the profits from. Because they will chew on the culture, they will eat on, bite on, consume, and continue to delude themselves with the culture that you feed them or the nostalgia of a culture that was from a time ago, as long as it helps them escape addressing the reality of their present moment. As long as they can feel like they're in love, as long as they can feel like they're this on this high, as long as they can feel like they're doing this, as long as they can dissociate from their current reality, but still stay in it just enough to continue to do the things they need to do day to day to get by, then we can continue to make this machine as much money as possible and all the shareholders' money while continuing to sell the least, if not, if any, really, value to everyday people. The people spending their hard-earned money on investing in the culture, not knowing that they're really putting all their money down the drain because the people who they're giving their money to, really, the industry heads and executives, already have enough money to truly invest in these creatives, which is the only thing they need to do. But they won't, especially in an age where Black people aren't slaves, so they can't just give us money and take it right back. They have to give us money, and there's a chance we can take the money they give us and turn it right back to our community and invest in the community that they don't want any money going to. So now they have to create an entire system of illusions of successful artists and stories and come-ups and whatnot. So they can get you to believe that it's real just because that's another human on the other side of the screen. Not because that's a real story, that's a real development, that's a real artist, and that's real, something real that you can be inspired by and make applicable steps in your own life to actualize the dream that you have. The reason why I say that this old school industry model is going to blow up is because they're going to use AI to weed out everybody who is asking for basic respect and accommodations. They're going to weed out the creative artist who is now with tenure in the industry, asking to be respected, asking to be invested in, asking for protections. You know how much capitalists hate labor unions. So instead of needing a labor union, how about we get the artists to work harder? How about we get the executives or the mid-managers to work harder by firing all of them, cutting off a bunch of artists and a bunch of deals, and then on top of that, we're going to incorporate these deals with big tech, these AI deals, to produce what kind of art? Sourced off what kind of data? Created by which artists that were not licensed? We starting to understand things here? As a means to protect this exploitative industry, we're going to eliminate as many human beings as we can from participating in a creative arts industry by pairing ourselves completely with what big tech is offering us, not knowing that capitalist and the big tech does not create art. They create tools to exploit artists so they can make profit off of the consumers that they are loaning funds and human rights to. I think that was a good place to finish our little. We're not done with phase 2 yet because I still got to finish in what the new school industry looks like. But I have to make sure that you guys understand. Maybe this is a good time to incorporate why any of this aligns with the mysterious aspect of it. This old school media model, it only allowed for this mystery man. I'm going to drop one song and never drop again. I'm going to drop an album here and then I'm going to act like I'm a fashion designer in another country for like 10 years. The only reason that was allowed to happen is because there was always money in the tank. You're not relying on your fans when you have an industry head, not just industry head, but you also have executives that are aligned with royalty, aligned with billionaires, aligned with the pockets of people who want to gamble on creative arts. There's always money. You're just lying to the artist that there isn't any money by putting them in these debt traps and making them work hard to get out of debt. Because the debt never needed to be imposed onto them at first. You just sold them this illusion of a lifestyle they could live with their advance, not knowing the advance was something that would need to get returned at some point, because that's how business works. Nobody gets anything for free. Like, you see how naive we all are entering this space? We don't know how much value we produce. We don't know how the business works. We don't know how to engage with any of it. Yet we are the ones who give 99% and come out with, if we're lucky, 1%. And then the illusion of the rest of the 99%, which is the fame, the hypersexualization, the clout chasing, and all that type of stuff. But never true respect and appreciation or true engagement from the people that call themselves fans and consumers of the art that we create for them. You're only allowed to be mysterious here because you have a whole machine, a whole team of people, connecting you with your fan base in Japan, your fan base in Italy, your fan base in Cuba, scheduling you on tours, connecting with mass media publications and institutions, scheduling events for you, scheduling controversy for you. Like, it's a whole machine. And of course, it's so much stuff that you as an individual cannot do. And that's how they sell you the illusion, or at least the front end. I hope you didn't just see me spit right there. But that's how they sell you illusion of the front end. Because do you want to be a star? Do you want to have your music heard around the world? Do you want to have your music in Kohl's? So, not that you. If we allow ourselves to look at it from not like a subjective but more objective perspective, that mysterious nature is simply because the amount of praise and attention and validation that you get going from a nobody to a top record label signee or a top artist or a celebrity out of nowhere is super overwhelming, especially for people who aren't traditionally validated for anything outside of their celebrity. So the mysterious thing is a means of, I got a bunch of attention and a bunch of eyes on me and a bunch of pressure that is a little much. Of course, I wanted this lifestyle, but it is too much, and now I'm shunning myself because I'm not ready to constantly be serving it all day. But you must serve cunt all day. This is why my videos won't get any views, because I'm always saying something bad in there. All right. But we live in a new age. I'm going to cut this right now, and we're going to get into the second half of this, explaining what the new age model is and how this new age requires you as an artist to be a lot less strategic and a lot more productive and expressive in this reality if you want to find success, at least any kind of success, especially in a world where the old industry is actively imploding in front of our eyes and we are looking for new leaders and pioneers of a completely different system. This actually might have been a good thing to put before I made this part of the model right here. So let's just act like this is on this side and we just slid that over to this. But this is a very, very, very important prompt that you need to ask yourself as a creative artist who is moving into this new reality. If you desire to see any kind of success or reciprocation from this new industry that we are actively creating, or at least has to be created, will you use technology to create your reality? And when I say create your reality, I'm saying create a reality that is authentic to you. Will you utilize the YouTube and the Google to study up everything that's free in alignment to who you want to be? Are you going to use the social medias to post as much as you can to reach your audience, to reach people who actually want to support you and give you money and show you love? Or will you sit there and watch other people living your dream in front of your face? For real. Not just posting a life, living a life, and literally throwing the scraps at you. That's going to develop a lot of resentment at some point. Backseat driving celebrities is not a life you want to live. Will you utilize the opportunity to engage in live streams and to not have to be like our ancestors were, constantly being outside and existing on the street corner hoping 5 people validate you? But you can be in your bedroom, put up a live stream, and have 10 people or 1,000 people even watching you as you're singing in your room, as you're playing the guitar, as you're making a song, as you're developing your products, as you're running your business, as you just want to hang out with people. Don't think about utilizing this world we live in and the technology of it as, let me make my life more convenient to not address myself or what I really want to do. It's let me make pursuing my wildest dreams as convenient as possible with the technology I have access to assist me right now. And if you're continuing to push forward in that direction with what you have right now, everything else that could be of assistance or helping you is going to be along that path. But if you're not pushing yourself forward through that path already, you're never going to find it, because it's not where you are right now. It's where you're headed, and it'll only help you once you get into a position where it makes sense to apply these accommodations or this insight or this wisdom onto your path where you are becoming. It's very, very, very important, especially as going from a consumer to a creative mindset, that you move from I need to have everything figured out and then I'll do it because I'm afraid of being rejected or failing, into I will learn as much as I can, learn more, learn, adapt, pivot, learn, do, and it's the constant process. And you are the regulator of that process. You aren't a consequence of the time wasted enslaved to the technology that you had access to. You didn't spend 8 years, 10 years, 20 years of your life doing this. Or for some of you, even better, this. Or this. Somebody like me, I'm on the other side of the camera doing this. Now I'm playing. But what I'm trying to say is, at a certain point in this journey, especially as a creative, because you're the one who has connection to this insight, the only person to blame for not actualizing a dream that only you can see within yourself will be you. And the people who will be fulfilled with their lives won't be the people who are necessarily successful at it, but it'll be the people who gave it a go and allowed the consequence of giving it a go to meet them halfway. A$AP Rocky has a great video. And the reason why I don't include these videos quote for quote in here is because they keep on copywriting my shit, and I hate that. But A$AP Rocky had a video, and he's like, how are you going to hate on somebody for trying? Like, who are you, bro? Somebody who doesn't do anything. Even beyond that, is successful at anything. Who are you to judge somebody who is trying? And on top of that, trying to do something well. You think everybody just starts out doing the best, like at what they Like really sit here and allow this episode and these conversations that we have to be a heart-to-heart with the self. Because that's the person you're going to have to literally trust the most on this journey. So are you even willing to be in relationship with, be in tune with, in alignment with this thing is the thing of the self? I don't know, man. That's up to you. And that's why I can't give you, as like a self-proclaimed healer, I can't give you definitive answers for your life. I can't give you step 1, 2, 3, 4 necessarily. I can give you a progression, but I can't give you this because you know the other 50%. I only know the 50% that is, I am living a human experience. And if you can resonate with this human experience I'm communicating, you are the person, after receiving the insight I give you, after receiving the insight I give you, you have to do something with it and become in your reality by making decisions and changes in alignment with what you seek to have. And I can't make those decisions for you, and I can't know every decision everybody has to make in their life. I can only offer you insight as to different choices that I have made and I have seen others and appreciated others made to get what they wanted without having to be anybody outside of who they are and leave any reality other than their present moment. Or live in any other reality than their present moment. Speaking about living in the past and constantly being motivated by trauma or constantly being motivated by the lack of what you didn't have, or living so much in the future motivated by everything you don't have right now or everything that you want to have, but you aren't doing anything right now to actually make any of that happen. The point of this life, I truly believe, is to be living in your 10 toes, on your feet, in this reality, not constantly thinking like I do. Constantly in this worlds that could be, when you have the opportunity to live in the world that is right now. This is why, and I made another video too on my TikTok saying I don't care about digital footprint whatsoever. It will not mean anything. It's another means of policing the poors and policing the slaves, bro. Because why are you afraid of your digital footprint if you're not doing anything wrong? Why are you afraid of your digital footprint if you're chasing your dreams, if you're actualizing your true self, if you're healing your trauma, if you're connecting with community? Why are you afraid of your digital footprint? Oh, it's because people are going to talk shit on you on the job that is underpaying you. People are not going to hire you at that job that's going to underpay you. People are not going to respect you for being authentic online. You know why? Because people are afraid of being authentic in their real lives. So they couldn't ever imagine being authentic online. Come on now. We as creative artists are going to lead the world. And I'm saying, like, I've had so many people in my life, and people have had to cut off too, where I've told them, I'm like, dude, I'm going to change the world, bro. Like, I genuinely believe I'm going to change the world. And they sit there and they tell me like, why do you think like that? Or like, don't you think that's narcissistic? Or like, and just constantly trying to belittle or shame or like constrict that belief. But I know as a creative person, just being a part of the creative collective consciousness, I am going to change the world, bro. And every day I continue to elevate myself and to develop my awareness and to continue to put myself, my whole self, in this life that I live and I love. I'm participating in influencing a completely new creative culture and a completely new creative signature that will forcibly manifest itself in this life, especially as the old school industry is imploding in front of us. And I don't care what you guys think is going to happen. That Lucian Grange and his son are not going to save the music industry. I guarantee you they will do a deal with Facebook or somebody else who hoards data that they're not supposed to have access to, and they're going to, and YouTube probably, and they're going to start making AI art. And then start having AI art compete with human art because they don't care about artists. They only care about maintaining a billionaire legacy. And for all my ladies that follow me, can we stop romanticizing the billionaire wife situation? I hope you understand that all of them are getting cheated on like every day. And that's me not just being facetious, that's me being for real. None of that shit is real, especially the ultra wealthy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with current social events and whatnot, but did you hear the guy, one of the leading faces that was speaking about COVID? Forgive me, these people are screaming now. Maybe I should cut this part out and then just get into the final part of the video. Okay, I hope you guys can forgive me for putting these headphones on right now, because somebody just, again, this is why I'm begging you guys to allow me to have enough finances to live on my own, gang. Because this is absolutely insane, bro. I hate having to compromise myself for just other people screaming into other rooms, and it's literally like a foldable wall, bro. So they're literally just in there screaming at each other all day. So we're gonna get through the end of this video, hopefully. Hopefully this is hopefully I look a little bit cute with this on, so you guys aren't too distracted. But let me make sure this is recording, actually, because this is a very new occurrence for myself. Okay, we're good. Okay, so now I'm going to finish off this video by explaining what is the new industry model. What is the new method that I believe the old school industry is attempting to block us from having access to, while at the same time, the people, if we collectively become cognizant enough of this system and how to actively, purposefully and intentionally create it or manifest it, we could completely free ourselves from the implosion that is the old school creative arts entertainment industry. Because I want you to ask yourself this thing. If the poors are not being entertained by the entertainment industry, who is it for? Who are we entertaining other than the master class? Whether it's in his ability to create and invest and find the best art, or it's his ability to serve his own leisure and entertainment. In this social media networking method, rather than having a industry like a pyramid, forgive me, I can just look at you dead on. Rather than having an industry like a pyramid, and the industry is just golden showering on everybody that it's exploiting to make all of its money, the social media method completely destroys that and allows whoever has access to the technology and the inner artistic drive, if they can connect those two things together in their own present moment, the talent can find itself and start to produce art for its immediate community or its immediate environment. In being able to do that, now there is no industry gatekeeping grip on who can access talent or who can find talent and make talent credible. Places like Spotify and SoundCloud allowing you to upload all your music, of course, those are super exploitative. That's the only reason why Spotify is a multi-billion-dollar product, is because it's basically a digital record label. You guys might not want to see that, but Spotify is a digital record label. They just mask all the record labels that stand behind it that are using Spotify as a digital monopoly to exploit everything that Napster would have given the world for free. That's the only reason why Napster was blocked off, because there was no industry money being made to be exploited by the masters for it. But when Spotify came around, it was just Napster that could exploit artists in the digital age for the masters. So where the talent finds itself in the community, it can not only believe in itself initially, but beyond that, it can be cultivated by and invested in by the people around it. This is why in one of the interviews that I watched about somebody discussing the business structure of UMG, Universal Music Group, they said that the only genre of art, of music, that was able to disperse itself effectively without need of an industry label is rap and hip hop. Isn't that crazy? And pop only comes second. Pop comes second to rap and hip hop. And rap and hip hop, these aren't the kids. Pop stars are the ones that were born and raised in the suburbs. Rap and hip hop kids come from the streets. And in appreciating the streets and black culture for the idea, not necessarily the reality, but for the idea of what's going on there, you have to recognize that Whether it's beautiful girls who are playing your songs in the car when they're hanging out with their girls or they're hanging out with the guys that they're talking to, whether it's the big boss playboys and the gangsters and the blank dealers playing your music and bumping it in the clubs or bumping it for the promoters or just kind of playing it on their parties and their vibes. Whether it's somebody in the community just playing your music on their headphones in their house, for their basketball practice. Like, you see how the community network markets itself. And it literally says, if we, the people, think that your stuff is popping and your stuff is fire, we're going to spread your like wildfire through the streets. You don't need to pay for advertising. You know why? Because the people are going to show you if this art is good at all. And we, the people, are not only going to invest our money into it, but we're also going to support it. We're going to help you distribute. We're going to help you. Now, of course, there's bootleggers and whatnot, but you've got to sit here and think. This is the community working together. Everybody plays a different role in this society, but everybody is using their different role to disperse and distribute and share this art with as many people as possible, without needing to pay for marketing, because the marketing is what the people being able to recognize the value that you're providing them through the art that you're producing for them. And this is what they don't want. The capitalist wants them to not only create the culture, but them to decide what is culture and what is not culture, so they can dispute everybody who opens up a door to a culture that refuses to give maximum profits to the mainstream record label industry. And the people, in ignorance, by anything that this industry is feeding them, whether it's you need to destroy your community, you need to have a bunch of hoes and you can't be investing in healthy relationships, you need to be making sleazy money, you can't be working a 9-to-5, whatever agenda is to be sold can be funneled through creative arts. And you can use avenues like hip hop and whatnot to diversify your reach, your industry exploitation into communities that would never engage with you, because these people wear the same clothes every single day and you are wearing a $500 or a $5,000 suit every single day. You don't speak the same language, you don't live the same life, you don't believe the same thoughts. But this music thing is a medium you could use to continue to exploit them, even if it's from all the way down the way. The final phase of this, when the people start to really start picking up each other, their peers, their community members, their friends and whatnot, on a street grassroots level, again, I don't know if it's ever happened, but when people start doing it widespread again for more genres than just hip hop and rap, the reason why it was so effective for hip hop and rap is because the communities are so enmeshed and there's so many people so deeply connected, whether it's by blood or it's by like literal death that connects you. When something is hot, the wildfire spreads like this. But in a suburb where everybody is so individualistic and everybody has their own issues and everybody's got their blinders on and nobody wants to be a part of the community and nobody does any block parties and nobody does anything because we're all pointing at the finger at who's the problem in this neighborhood. You can't spread art effectively like that. You can't spread art in a cult of identity when everybody wants to serve themselves with the art in a way unique to them, rather than utilizing who they are to serve their community or their world with the art that they have grown appreciation for. This new phase will completely destroy, if not disrupt, the traditional industry. Let me make sure this is still recording though. Yep. This new phase right here is going to absolutely manhandle the industry. And that's only if the people, there's enough creative artists and enough of like a collective people that actually want to support those creatives to make it happen. But I don't know. There's a lot of people who are so convenient, like enslaved to convenience. We might actually just end up reverting back to the industry model with AI, meaning that there will never, ever again be any independent artists. because we'll just block off access to studios, to recording, to this, to that, to everything that any artist, self-made artist could have to make themselves up. When the people start, now this has already happened before with the iPhones and the microphones and the podcasts and that. Don't get me started on the podcast. But when the slave starts to use the tools to actualize their desires, it's only a matter of time before they realize they can use those tools to free themselves from the master's house and the master's psychosis and the master's illusions to then what? Create their own reality instead of being at the consequence of the time wasted enslaved to the tool or using those tools to serve the master's reality, hoping on the back end of serving the master, they would be compensated as anything more than a what? Slave. So how will this industry model look? How will this industry model look if you guys aren't slaves anymore and we are human beings contributing to a creative culture? I say it's going to look like this. The creative has the most power in the system. Now, I know I wrote creative, capitalist, consumer, but truly, the capitalist and their machine has the most power. And they just kombucha. And the capitalist just funnels, almost like a washcloth, like drying a wash rag, just funnels all the value out of the creative and then takes the wealth or the juice of that, sells it, markets it to the consumers, takes all the wealth that comes from the consumers that they probably should be saving on not being slaves, and then continues to keep the rich richer and the poor as they could ever be. Never ever utilizing any of these cultural movements or trends to actually cultivate a consciousness or a community or some kind of collective culture that's worth living in and something that we can actually hand down to be appreciated and taken responsibility for by the next generation. So in this model, the creative, and mind you, the creative cannot be at the top of this totem pole if they don't believe in themselves. And that's why I make a lot of that internal inner journey healing stuff, because we have to really, really delusionally believe in ourselves to be the artist that we're supposed to be. Because that's what art is, delusion. It's chaos. And we're living in a controlled reality. We have to take the chaos and control it within ourselves to then create something, to then be commodified by capitalism. But if we weren't living under capitalism, we could just create the art to create the art. But now, since I'm an entrepreneur as well, thank you, capitalism, because I won't be a slave, I'm teaching you how to make that happen. Make that money flip for yourself. The creative will then license, I don't know if I'm using the right word there, contract the capitalist for funding, and if not the capitalist, then the community that funds them, an independent way, and tech support. Because instead of needing a whole machine and a bunch of people who are hired into a record label or hired into a job that is really just them checking emails and making sure that like the masters at the top don't have to do any work, because that's what most of these corporations are. Just making sure that royalty at the top doesn't do anything and everybody else gets all the work to do because their life is not as important as the master. This AI generation, which I don't know how many people will genuinely have access to AI in its efficient rates, but the creative in being able to divide tech support from the capitalist and just know, hey, I need to be well versed in all three of these: creative, technology, business. But no, I am the creative. No, I am not needing to wear all three hats. I just need to have an awareness. So just like when I show up to get my car fixed, I'm not getting upmarked for absolutely nothing. So I know what funding I need and I know what tools I need to utilize that funding to actualize what I need to actualize to get the best return on investment and to get me even closer to the life that I know I can live fully, because that's where all my abundance lies. I'm not trying to live a whole entire life where I'm just constantly transactionally working for the check. I'm creating a life where what I want, what I desire, what I'm selling myself for transactionally is already of access to me. And it's only not in my possession, not because I can't have it, because I don't want it. That's something that Cat Williams said in that 2024 Shannon Sharpe interview that I'll never, ever, ever forget. I've created a life for myself to where the only reason why something is not there is not because I can't have it, it's because I don't want it. That is living in abundance. That is living knowing that if it's meant for you, it's there for you. And if it's there for you, utilize it, appreciate it. And if it's not there for you, continue to appreciate what you already have there for you. Now, this is going to be an interesting thing. Because the old school industry has just exploited so much value and not invested properly in the industry, in the ecosystem, in the artist, it is going to implode. It is literally a skeleton. It is skin and bone skeleton right now. That is a problem because anything, like you could knock that thing over with some wind. I don't know why I keep on standing in front of the point that I'm trying to make. But if the creative is able to somehow master this, and this is why I've created a software for us creative artists, which should be here in the next year or two. But if the creatives as a collective can master this initial triangle and never let the tech bros manipulate us into siphoning out the value we deserve, while also never letting the capitalist not invest in us properly enough to create the art that the world needs, there's only a couple things that can come from that. You're going to build a cult following, which probably will come from like the new age of artists, like the new types of creatives and artists and all types of dope stuff. That is going to be a type of community that gets created. That's how most communities exist right now. It's just the best way to keep people addicted to buying these personal brands and these marketing methods like Drake's and Taylor Swift's and the Adele's. You have to keep people addicted. But I don't think we're going to only need to use that addictive marketing, addictive community method anymore because of real creatives who know how to create different types of art that can continue to serve the people, like almost like evergreen art. And that's more of the intellectual art. That's more of the confusing abstract art. That's the art that allows the person, the individual viewer of the art, to play a role in deciding what the meaning of that art is. That is going to develop completely new types of communities to exist in. So not just cults behind the individual artist, but communities of existence and ecosystems that we all are appreciated in our human life with. And the final thing will just be really like nicheified specific collectives of creative art or just really niche industries that can allow opportunities and lifestyle opportunities, access and resources and accommodations for creative artists who are still seeking to be a part of their cult, not in a bad way, seeking to be a part of a cult, be a part of a community, and almost like a labor union almost, or a labor union or an association of the higher ups and the powers that be in this creative collective to help make sure that everybody who considers themselves to be a creative is being served as a part of this machine. Basically like the HR department. Okay. So do you see why it's so important to now not be mysterious? Because as a creative, you are going to be the most important aspect of this new reality. Everything that you do, the thoughts that you have, the food that you eat, how you schedule yourself, the habits, your routines, the relationships that you have, the way that you course your energy through your veins, everything is going to be important in creating a new industry that actually serves the creatives that do so much to serve the world around us and the culture that we provide these people. You can't be afraid of being the one that makes the decisions, being the one that says, I dream, I execute. Like that, you can't be afraid of this stuff anymore. And I hope when you watch these videos, you see, you know what? My dreams are huge, but that doesn't mean that I'm a super small being who can't actualize them. That just means that I got to take a lot more steps and I got to work a lot more efficiently and I have to make a couple more sacrifices to become the person that can shrink those dreams down. Not even shrink those dreams down, forgive me, I want to correct myself. So I can become a person who is big enough to meet those dreams at where they're at, rather than shrinking my dreams down to meet me where I'm at, because that's more convenient to keeping my feelings okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you've watched this long into the video, this has to be an hour, 30-minute video. I already know it, bro. I've overstayed my welcome here. But I had to. I had to just let you guys know that this creative journey is so much more than just being famous or being rich or just being able to get DMs back from the girls that don't follow you. This is literally going to change your life. And as a consequence of having your life changed by the journey that you've been on, it's almost inevitable that you feel as if there is something unique you have to contribute to this collective. And I want you to be able to have every tool and opportunity to be able to do that. Because your path and your ability to conquer your own challenges might be the inspiration that somebody else needs to keep going in their life. And that person, if not you, may have the art or the story or the song or the this that inspires a world full of people to feel. Because that's what we do as artists. It's not about constantly hitting the bullseye and making people happy all the time. Sometimes it's about making people feel sad, making people introspect and look within themselves. Sometimes it's about giving people a new perspective on something that we all thought we knew so well already. But without the artist, without the authenticity, without the unique nature that we have to contribute to this world, none of that means anything. Things just are or they aren't. Life is just black or white, up or down, left or right. There is no gray area. There is no in between. There is no realness. And that's what scares me about the world that we're walking into, because when you abandon the creative artist from the industry that is literally called the creative arts industry, the entertainment industry, when you abandon the human beings that have the human souls that actually provide the value here, and you think that somehow you can create a Frankenstein that's going to do it better than us, there is something utterly wrong in your brain. And it'll make me so happy to see this industry implode with those steps being taken with big tech and big record label industry. And I hope both of you guys can finger yourselves to death.